Alright lads, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the BM Oplot T on the War Thunder Task Force dev server. So this is the new heavy hitter coming for the Japanese tech tree. The reason it's not coming in the Soviet tech tree is A, it's not a Soviet vehicle, and Ukraine doesn't really have enough vehicles to have its own tech tree. I think Gaijin really missed out here by not making Italy like a Transcarpathia kind of, so like Italy, Hungary, Ukraine, all that kind of area, Romania. That probably would have been a better thing to do in my opinion, but hey ho, the Japanese get it. So the Oplot is coming at the end of a new branch. This is coming, well, it starts with the M60A3 TTS, goes on to the Stingray, finishes with the Oplot at battle rating 12.0 in rank 8 of the Japanese tech tree. So the only vehicle that can grind this is going to be the Type 90 Fuji. You don't even really have, I don't actually know if you can effectively grind the Oplot, because this Stingray obviously isn't rank 7. That's just something to bear in mind. But what is the BM Oplot? Well, at its heart, it is a heavily modified T80UD. So the main here is that we do have the 6TDF engine. This was basically designed by Kharkov in response to the gas turbine of Leningrad. After Ustinov died, basically the Soviets were like, well, gas turbines. That basically the Soviet Minister of Defense Ustinov really liked gas turbines, and the army wasn't really that bothered. So after he died, they just kind of scrapped it off. So they had the T80, which was a fantastic vehicle, but they no longer wanted to use the gas turbine engines, so they stuck a new diesel engine in the back of it. This was a development of the opposed piston engine, which was called the 5TDF, which was in the T64. So they added another cylinder. They gave it about 1,000 horsepower. This is 1,200 because it is a more modern variant. But it basically makes the engine very, very compact. It's one of the most compact engines compared to its power output in the world. I think it actually might be. The 5TDF is actually, it produces the most amount of power for weight and space, I think. Anyway, it was also coupled to the transmission from the T80, giving it the, well, this one's a different transmission actually, because it goes 32 kilometers per hour going backwards. Also goes 69 kilometers per hour going forwards. But what I'm trying to say is that they liked the T80 design. They didn't like the gas turbine, so they started making the T80UD, but it basically just had a diesel engine. Other thing to mention is that this does have a welded turret. This was because after the fall of the Soviet Union, the Ukrainians didn't have any, I don't think they had any ability to cast armor anymore or something like that, if I remember correctly. So the T80UDs, which were produced in Ukraine, they had welded turrets to avoid this. And the Oplot was basically an export variant that the Ukrainians were making in order to try and get some money flowing in the 1990s when everything was kind of going a bit tits up for the former Soviet Union and its ally states, or satellite states. So this vehicle, after the preemptive rambling from me, I do apologise if you don't like history of the vehicles. It's basically a T80UD with modern thermals, modern explosive reactive armour, and kind of like commander's optics and a commander's gun type thing. So you do have the VARTA electro-optical active protection system. This is kind of like the Storer system on the T90A. Not really going to be too effective at battle rating 12.0 because most anti-tank missiles are going to be laser guided and not SAKO anymore. So they're not using IR guidance jammers. They're using lasers, obviously. We then have the ERA. This is, I don't actually know what this is. It does have a name that I've just read it before. I was doing research for it. The name forgets me. It should be pretty effective though at stopping all sorts of incoming chemical weapons. But protection though, DM23. Yeah, this isn't fully modelled yet, the armour. At least I don't think it is. Like, this is basically a T80UD with no armour inserts. Maybe the Ukrainians were also creating monkey models, but I very much doubt it. Anyway, let's look at some of the good stuff of this vehicle, which is going to be the gun. It is in the Thai sub-tech tree of the Japanese, but it does use the Chinese export round. So it gives you, I think this is the DTC-10 round, but obviously under a BTA for designation. So you get 552mm of penetration at point blank range, but a very high muzzle velocity of 1740 meters per second. The tank can also fire a GP-125 anti-tank guided missile with a tandem warhead, allowing it to penetrate 850mm of armor. You also get a good old 3OF-26 HE shell, as well as a 3BM-42 Mango round as stock. This is the best round that I believe the Ukrainians can produce themselves. With the ties, obviously, they went on to purchase Chinese sabres because they couldn't get high quality sabres from Ukraine, I don't believe. The tank also has second gen thermal imagers, as well as a laser range finder. So the first thing you'll realise is that it basically just is a T80UD, maybe a little bit faster. It doesn't have the acceleration of the T80 BVM though, but obviously this isn't using a gas turbine engine, and it's not producing like 1500 horsepower, so it's never going to be that blisteringly fast. It's also not going to be as fast as the vehicles that we already have in the Japanese Tetri, like the Type 10, the Type 90. Those vehicles are obviously glass cannons, very, very fast with high power guns. The thermals may actually be third gen, maybe not actually at long range. They're not really that thick, but basically incredibly workable. You can't really complain about the thermal imagery we get here. But this is definitely one of the vehicles that I am most looking forward to in this update. And this is going to give you like the Japanese Tetri a little bit of a breath of fresh air, because it does give you... It's a tank that has a completely different playstyle in many ways, to be honest, because it's more laid back, it's got a bit more armor protection. It's obviously not going to save you against a fantastic player, as they're going to have like great aim and they're going to hit that driver's port weak spot, or shoot underneath your skirt and just hit your ammo rack. But it's going to save you from those rush shots, those shots that mainly American players make actually. American mains kind of just run around corners and fire at the first thing they see. It's going to give you that little bit of extra protection from people who are a little bit panicky, which is something that you never had before in the Japanese Tetri. I don't think the gun depression is as good as NATO vehicles though. I think that is maybe the one holdover from the Soviet days. So it's actually got pretty bad gun depression at only -4 degrees, which is going to limit the vehicle in terms of its ability to play hull down. But again, these are Soviet vehicles. They aren't made for staying back and being defensive. They're basically meant to be Zerg rushed into an enemy's position and let your infantry do the work. But at 12.0, it's going to have a pretty decent lineup. You've got the Type 10s and the TKX. The prototype is also still good at top tier, despite being 11.7. The Type 90s as well, they are still very, very good. They don't have any armor protection, but they still have DM33, just over 480mm of penetration, 4-second reload rate, very, very powerful, especially in the mid part of a game where everyone is already taken out their best vehicles. And they're kind of like on those second reserve vehicles. These are kind of like Leopard 2A4s if they had a substantially better gun and a much faster reload. You've also got a very good air defense system in the Tansam Kai. Also, the Type 81 is still good with its IR missiles. Pretty good scouting ability with the Japanese with the RCVs and the ICV. This thing isn't that good, but the RCV is a pretty decent squadron vehicle. Anyway, lads, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I hope you found a little bit of... Well, I hope you got a bit of information out of this video. I know I do like spurg and go on historical explanations of things that I probably shouldn't do. But yeah, don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you very much for watching, lads. I'll see you in the next video.